Okay, welcome to C++ Notes. Today's topic is about the declaration and definition and the keyword related to them. So let's first explore the difference between declaration and definition. So declaration tells the compiler that something exists. For example, if I want to declare and maybe a very simple int variable, I can type in extern int value 1. Okay, now this is a declaration. Like what I mentioned before, declaration is just telling the compiler something exists and its type and its name, but it doesn't really allocate memory for it and doesn't give you any value. Give it any value, meaning that you cannot use it. If you want to see out it, value 1, you got an arrow, which is, if you look at the arrow underneath the list, you can see it's a linking arrow, meaning that the compiler is okay with it. The compiler knows or believes that it exists somewhere else, and you just declare it here to let it know. But when the linker is trying to find it, where is the definition of this variable? It cannot find any because we didn't actually define it. So the linker gives you an arrow like this. Okay. So to actually use it, you want to actually do a definition. Okay. Type that word wrong. So if you type in extern int value 1 equals 1, if you have this equals 1 here after this kind of like declaration expression with an equal 1, that means it's a definition now. So now if you run the code, there will be no arrow, and it's printing 1 here because I give 1 as the initial value. So the difference between definition and declaration is declaration only tells the compiler that something exists, its name and its type, so the compiler knows how to use it. But the actual definition of the variable is somewhere else, and the linker is in charge of finding it. Okay. And a definition is a declaration with initialized value and memory, meaning it's actually defined. So this line does that. Okay. So you're probably also wondering the extern keyword. Okay, the extern keyword here ensures that this entire expression is only a declaration, not a definition. Meaning if you don't have extern here, if you do int value 1, int value 2, let's do another one, then int value 2 is not actually a declaration, it's actually a declaration and definition. And so this is equivalent or the same as int value 2 equals 0. So this to the compiler actually means this, because you don't have external keyword here. To the compiler it means a declaration and definition. If you don't give it a value, it will give it a default value as 0 and allocate memory for that. So I can prove that by directly printing it int value 2, and it will be able to print it with value of 0. So that is actually a declaration. A definition here. So that's why you need to have extern keyword here to only declare something without giving memory and value, or without defining it. Okay. So that's the difference. And that's why you want to use extern keyword. And another thing about declaration is declaration can exist multiple times. So no matter how many times I paste it here to the compiler, this just means one thing. It means the programmer is trying to tell, or is telling the compiler that something exists with the name of int value 1 and with the type of int. and no matter how many times you tell it, it's okay. It just knows that it exists. Okay, so if you run the code, it will have no complaint. Okay, so declaration can be declared multiple times. Definition can only be done once. So can only have one here, and declaration can have multiple times, more than one. Meaning that you cannot just do it one more time here if you want to do this definition again twice. Then if you run the code, you will get an error called the ref definition multiple initialization. Okay, so you're trying to define it twice, but the compiler only allow you to do it once because you want to have a variable that is only exist in one memory location that has its unique value and unique name. And that's why you cannot allocate another memory and with the same name, because it's just gonna cause confusions. But because declaration doesn't allocate memory, like what I mentioned before, so it's okay because no memory is being allocated. You can tell the compiler this guy one more time, more than one time, and the compiler will be okay with it, as long as you didn't define it more than once. Okay. So that's declaration, definition, and their major differences and keywords corresponding to them. Okay. Now another question is why do we need to only declare something without defining it, right? When do we really need extern keyword to declare something without actually using it, without actually allocating memory for it? Well, one of the good example will be actually about functions. So I have two more files, a function header file and another function CPP file, included the header file. Let's say, let me create a function here in the header file, int give me an int. Okay. And this expression tells the compiler, or this is also a declaration. The declaration works the same for variable and function. So this declaration just tells the compiler that this function exists, its name is this, it doesn't take any arguments, and it returns an int. Now you only declared it, so no memory is allocated for the function, meaning you can, of course, just do it multiple times like that. But you can only give it one definition. So let's define it in the CPP file here. Just return 0. I used a plugin called Visual Assistant. Okay, you can buy it for like $99 or so. Okay, and the shortcut for that is Control-Alt-I to actually just create the definition directly into the CPP file, which is really handy. Anyway, so the definition is here. So we have declaration in the header file, we have the definition in the CPP file. Now notice that there is a huge difference though between variable declaration and function declaration. See, that function declaration, we don't have the extern keyword, right? Why don't we have the extern keyword here? Notice that before we have the extern keyword enabled to be able to only declare it. If we don't do that, this means also definition. But in functions, it's just different. In functions, you just have to write this, and it's only a declaration. Okay. Now what's happening under the hood is actually for functions, C++ created that extern afterwards. So this is the same as its, or we should switch the location. So this the int give an int means the same as having extern in front of it. Okay, now that's why. So this means this. So it's only a declaration. Now back to the functions. This also means this. All right. So if we give it the full if we write down the full requirement for declaration and definition, it will also run correctly. It's just the program actually did that for you under the hood, or C++ language actually recognize this as that. Okay, it recognizes it as that. Okay, now that everything seems more clear now. If you just read it this way, this is just a declaration, and this is the definition of the program. The function. I can include the functions here, and I can use the function right here. Give me an int. Okay, now I'll get 0 because I'm returning 0. I can try 5, and then I will get 5 instead. See that? So for some reason, extern was implicitly created when you declare a function like this, but it's not implicitly created in variable manner. Just remember that. Now the reason, back to the reason why we need it, we need to declare without defining it, is because the header file can be included in so many different files, and you cannot guarantee that when you included them all together, you only have one definition of it. Okay, you cannot just do that. So if we directly define it here and include it in multiple wheres or multiple places, there will be multiple places, and they can also include each other, and you find out that you will have multiple files included the same definition of the function, and you will get a definition redefinition error. But if you just do that and you just include the header file, and notice that no matter how many times you have the declaration, it will be okay to the compiler, then that meaning that every time when you use it, you just need to include the function's header file without including the CPP file. Okay, no CPP include, only include the header file, and the file included this header file will be able to use it. Like here, I just included the header file, right? So I included it. This means if I don't include it, this means I just have all the file here too, right? Okay, I can have those here. That's what include means. Just copy and paste all the text from one file to another file. So I can declare it right here. I can use it when the link compiler is done its job. The linker will be in charge of finding out the actual definition here to use it, and there will be only one definition. Okay, so that's why you kind of need this structure to make the C++ coding work with the keyword and the declaration definition, all the differentiations here. So just I think this thing is gonna be a little confusing for beginners. That's why I read this note. I record this note down. If you are confused, maybe this will explain things much more clear to you. Okay, so thanks for watching, and see you next time.